you'd bring down the caliber of attendees. The words sliced through the air like a razor, leaving a sting I could still feel as I stood frozen in the doorway of Mark Sullivan's office, heart pounding, face still. Every inch of me fought to keep my expression neutral. But inside, something cracked. Mark didn't even look up from his laptop. He leaned back in his overpriced chair, tapping a Mont Blanc pen against his chin like he was contemplating something of great consequence. "It's not personal, Laura," he said, feigning sympathy so poorly it turned my stomach. "The wellness retreat is for executives who project a certain image. Clients will be there. Industry partners. It's high level." He finally glanced up, his eyes dragging slowly from my practical flats to my off-the-rack blazer. I knew what he saw. No designer bag, no Instagram aesthetic, no filtered lifestyle that screamed success. "I see," I said, voice calm, steady. "Thanks for clarifying." And then I turned and walked out. No theatrics, just clarity. In the open concept office beyond his door, I felt the buzz behind flickering screens. Heads lowered quickly, but I knew they'd heard. I could feel their quiet assessments, their silent judgments. I'd always known I didn't quite fit the Klenner and Wolf mold. The glossy PR agency thrived on image, sheen, and pedigree. I had one of those, and it wasn't visible. At first, I wanted to go cry in the restroom stall like I had my first month. Here. But that version of me was gone. She hadn't survived this long. Instead, I went back to my desk, and waiting for me, a folder labeled Urgent, Wilder Campaign Change Requests. My campaign, already approved, already finalized. But Mark had added last-minute revisions. It was a move. A message. Stay busy, stay quiet, don't ask questions. What he didn't realize, what none of them realized, was that I had already asked my questions and found my answers. Sullivan Wellness wasn't just the name of the retreat they were buzzing about, nestled in the cliffs of coastal California. It was my family's legacy, built by my grandfather, grown by my mother, and now, quietly, managed by me. The Sullivan in Sullivan Wellness? That wasn't Mark. It was me. But no one at the agency knew that. I'd made sure of it. I didn't want to ride the coattails of legacy. I wanted to earn my place, build something of my own. So 3 years ago, I took this job. Modest title, modest salary, long hours. I chose a tiny apartment in a neighborhood no one at Klenner and Wolf could pronounce. I came in with scuffed tote bags, discount heels, and an open laptop. I worked, I delivered, and I watched. Because if I'd learned anything, it's that being real rarely gets rewarded. Mark took credit for my ideas. Colleagues were promoted. For wearing the right brands, not writing the right decks. I was overlooked, underestimated, exactly how I wanted it. But I had receipts. I kept a personal file. Dates, projects, who took what, who presented my pitch as theirs. I called it the E-Ledger. It was less about revenge and more about truth, patterns, proof. So when I reopened the Wilder file, I also opened my phone. "Mom, are the Ocean View Villas booked this weekend?" Her reply came instantly. "For work?" Me. Something like that. Clifftop Estate. "Tell Natalie I'm arriving early." A pause. "Mom. Understood." And just like that, the pieces were moving. The next day, the break room was a flurry of spa talk, juice cleanse chatter, and chakra jokes. Everyone trying to out-enlighten the next. "Selective guest list," I heard someone whisper. "It's invite only." Another added. I sipped my coffee and smiled. Back at my desk, a meeting invite hit my inbox. Q2 Wellness Retreat, attendee briefing. I clicked it open. Jason was on the list. So was Meredith. And Henry, the intern who asked me how to spell strategic. My name, missing. My jaw clenched, just slightly. I opened the ledger. That night I stayed late. Not because I had work, but because I wanted to see who else did. Mark hovered over Meredith's desk, oblivious to me walking by. Perfect. He had no idea what was coming. Retreat day. While my co-workers boarded the chartered bus in blazers and designer duffels, I was already in the air. Private jet. Courtesy of the Sullivan estate. 3 hours later, sunlight and ocean salt greeted me. Natalie met me at the gate with a smirk. "Welcome home, Miss Sullivan." The estate shimmered in the coastal sun. Polished white stone. Bougainvillea in full bloom. The ocean just beyond the glass balcony doors. Every detail was ready. Custom room assignments, gift baskets, diffusers lit with sandalwood and citrus. The Clifftop estate, $7,500 a night, was immaculate. "Shall we chill the champagne?" Natalie asked. "Wait until they're inside," I replied. "Let the surprise breathe." At 11:56 a.m., I got the text. "Your party has arrived." I stood behind one of the marble columns in the foyer, not hiding, just waiting. Carlos, our resort director, greeted them warmly. "Welcome to Sullivan Wellness. Before we assign your rooms, we'd like to extend a very special welcome to one of our returning guests, Miss Laura Sullivan." I stepped into view. Silence hit like thunder. Jason's jaw dropped. Julia gasped. Henry nearly dropped his water bottle. "You're the Sullivan?" he asked. I nodded calmly. "Sullivan Wellness has been in my family for 3 generations. I co-manage this estate, and this—" I gestured to the terrace. "This is home." Carlos continued without missing a beat. "Miss Sullivan will be managing your experience. She has full authority." Eyes shifted. A few smiled. Some looked away. But no one ignored me. And Mark? Mark looked like the ground had opened beneath him. "Laura, I didn't know, but you didn't ask," I said evenly. I smiled. "Jason and Henry, Ocean View, Julia, you'll love the reading nook. Mark?" A pause. "You'll be in the Serenity Annex. It's a bit more private." He blinked. "That's suitable?" "It's perfect for reflection," I said, tilting my head. "This weekend's all about wellness, isn't it?" Later, as he approached me alone, he tried again. "This is a misunderstanding," he said. "No," I replied. "This is clarity." I turned away before he could finish. "Try the papaya salad at brunch," I added. "It's a favorite of mine." At the welcome brunch, the dynamic had shifted. People who once overlooked me now offered polite conversation, cautious smiles. Julia complimented the estate. Henry asked about the family history. And me? I wasn't just the quiet strategist in the Navy blazer anymore. I was Laura Sullivan. And for the first time, they finally saw me. Power shifts are awkward, especially for those who thrived under the old rules. They kept finding reasons to hover near me, asking about the flower arrangements, the view, the chef. Jason offered to carry plates from the buffet. Henry stumbled through compliments on the villa's genius layout. It would have been funny if it hadn't been so transparent. Only Mark stayed distant, hovering near the edge of the terrace as if sunlight might reveal his guilt. I watched it all unfold, calm on the outside. But inside, I wasn't still, not even close, because while they were recalibrating how to treat me, I was remembering how they treated me before. 3 years. 3 years spent shrinking, downplaying, dimming. Not because I lacked confidence, but because I wanted to be respected on merit, not pedigree. I believed, maybe naively, that hard work would be enough. But at Klinner and Wolf, it was never about the work. It was about image, always had, been. Mark made sure of that. I still remember the client gala he forgot to invite me to, the one I organized. The meetings where my ideas were presented under someone else's name. The way he smirked when I spoke, like it was cute I thought I had something to say. Now? He couldn't meet my eyes. As the sun sank, painting the Pacific in molten gold, the staff lit candles and set the terrace for dinner. White linen fluttered in the breeze. Natalie handed me the seating chart. "Everything's in place," she said. I nodded. "Let's begin." Dinner unfolded beneath strings of lights and a watercolor sky. Grilled scallops, coconut rice, a chilled white from my mother's vineyard. I sat at the head of the table. No one questioned it. No one had to. People tried. I gave them that. But under their newly cautious politeness was uncertainty. Who was I? The quiet one in the budget blazer? Or this version, composed, powerful, in white linen? The answer, of course, was both. Halfway through the second course, Mark finally spoke. "This is impressive," he said, voice deliberate. "You clearly put a lot of thought into this." "I like to create experiences," I replied, taking a sip of wine. He hesitated. "I didn't know about your background, your family." "I know," I said. "That was the point." Silence fell again, except for the sound of wind whispering across glass railings. "It wasn't personal," he tried again. "You just didn't present like someone ready for executive visibility. The retreat was a reflection of your values." I finished for him. "Yes." I noticed. Across the table, Jason paused mid-bite. The air had shifted. Mark let out a breath. "If I'd known, you might have treated me differently," I offered. He looked at me then, really looked, and I saw it. The realization that no explanation he could give would land. "You didn't fail to recognize my worth because I hid who I was, Mark. You failed because you only ever saw what you wanted to see." He glanced around, but no one bailed him out. Just silence and linen and flickering candlelight. "That's what image culture does," I continued. "It rewards polish over potential, familiarity over talent. And people like me, we don't get invited to the table. So we build our own." Then, gently, "And sometimes, we still make room at ours." The energy shifted. Again. The rest of dinner passed with a different kin,